In addition to our regular undergraduate studies, the Open University also offers an associate student program designed to teach new developments wherever they occur and keep your knowledge fresh and up to the minute. Well, if you'd like a free copy of the Continuing Education Guide to our associate student courses, just write on a postcard, please, to this address. And that's the Associate Student Central Office, the Open University, P.O. Box 76, Milton Keynes, MK76AN. And now here's the second of 8 programs for the course Urban Change and Conflict. Like the others, it's divided into 3 case studies filmed on location in Vancouver, in Canada, Krakow in Poland, and Birmingham in the UK. Today's theme is the historical legacy of these 3 cities.
The Cloth Hall stands in the main square of Krakow, a reminder of the city's earliest days as an important commercial centre. The merchants of Krakow became prosperous on the trade in salt and cloth that passed through the city. Many centuries ago, before the Industrial Revolution began in Europe, Krakow was renowned as an intellectual, religious and commercial centre, a legacy which still continues today. Every hour, a bugler sounds an alarm over the city of Krakow. It perpetuates the legend of a timely warning given to the city of a Tatar invasion in the early 13th century. The bugler's call breaks off abruptly, as an arrow, the legend has it, pierced his throat. Indeed, in 1241, Krakow was completely destroyed by the Tatars. Present-day Krakow can trace its heritage back to the reconstruction of the city following that devastation of 700 years ago. The Tatar invasion was one of the more hostile interludes in the city's ancient traditions as a commercial town which traded extensively with the East. For long periods in its history, Krakow was the only outlet to Western Europe through which the traders of Central Asia were permitted to pass. Krakow was also the centre of the important salt trade from the nearby Woliska salt mines, the largest in Europe. The merchants of Krakow acquired great wealth as a result of this trade. A charter of storage rights granted at the turn of the 14th century reinforced Krakow's trading position. Now travelling merchants were legally obliged to display their wares, which could only leave the town if no buyer was found in the city. In 1320, Ladislaus the Short
was crowned king of a resurgent Polish state, and Krakow's position as Poland's capital was established. This was to continue until Warsaw superseded it in the 17th century. Krakow, like most cities, enjoyed its golden age. The Renaissance was a powerful influence on the city, and its architecture strongly reflects an Italian influence from the 1500s. This legacy remains to the present times. For some 200 years, Krakow was among the great centres of wealth and power in Europe. This importance was based on its trade and commerce, and so long as these flowed along the land routes which crisscrossed the continent, prosperity was assured. The Polish Renaissance also saw a major development of secular art. Both the aristocratic families and the city merchants displayed their wealth with sumptuous decoration to their residences. Even today, the degree of ornamentation on these buildings remains impressive. Behind the lavish exteriors lived other, more lowly social orders. They existed in the back courts as befitted their almost feudal dependence on their opulent commercial masters. The continuity of the appearance of present-day Krakow and its extraordinary history are nowhere more apparent than in the importance of its religious heritage. The influence of the church was a powerful one in Krakow's history. The destinies of city, country and church have always been closely intertwined. The altar of St. Mary's in the centre of Krakow is a masterpiece of Renaissance art. It's by Witold, one of the greatest Gothic sculptors in Europe. At a time when a Polish Pope sits in the Vatican, his original see continues to display its Catholic allegiance, which has inspired many of its people for hundreds of years. The influence of the church and the political patronage of the state combined in the building of the Wawel Cathedral. Here the Polish kings were crowned, notably those of the Jagiellonian dynasty, whose period of rule in the 15th and 16th century marks the highest point of the city's power and influence. Political power was now centred in the city and capitalised on increasing commercial wealth. Royal patronage fostered the religious and cultural importance of the city. The Jagiellonian kings and queens helped restore the flagging reputation of the Krakow Academy, the city's university. Here, theology and law were combined with mathematics and astronomy. The university was one of the earliest established in Northern Europe, and its Renaissance fame was enhanced by Copernicus's pioneering work on planetary motion. Many original globes are preserved here, including the first one to record the location of the American continent. The rich 16th century Jagiellonian Hall contains a portrait gallery of kings and other benefactors of the Academy. This fusion of the clerical and scientific is seen in the museum, which houses the early scientific instruments of the Academy's famous scientists. Most recently, Krakow has witnessed the extensive renovation of much of its heritage. Many buildings, such as the Collegium Maius of the university, have undergone extensive renovation. It's hard to escape the way in which the fabric of the city exemplifies its past glories. For centuries, the Wawel Castle has dominated the city. It formed the last citadel of defence in medieval times and the symbol of Polish royal rule under the Jagiellonian kings. Today, the view over the rooftops to the castle seems more like a painting of that period than a 20th century townscape. The ramparts of Wawel Castle have also served to harbour conquerors and oppressors of the city. Swedes, Russians, Austrians and Prussians have in their turn used the Wawel as a garrison for their occupying forces. From the beginning of the 17th century, Cracov's fortunes began a long decline. It ceded its capital status to Warsaw. New political alliances caused it to become a backwater, and perhaps most fundamental of all, new sea routes for trade with the East meant its commercial importance had seriously diminished. Its wealth declined, so too did its political influence. In the late 18th century, under the last Polish king Poniatowski, Krakow saw the demise of its long monarchical traditions. The first partition of Poland in 1772 cut Krakow off from the rest of Poland, and its economy was ruined. After Napoleon's incursions in the early 19th century, Krakow enjoyed a brief period of independence. Artists of the time hark back to the golden days of the earlier centuries of wealth and power. The fortifications of the Barbican and the Florianska Gate to the north of the city are all that remain of Krakow's once complete system of fortification. The walls and moats surrounding the town were overtaken by 19th century development. They were largely cleared and turned into public gardens. In the 19th and early 20th century, Krakow enjoyed the reputation of being a sanctuary of Polish culture. Its intelligentsia maintained a sense of national identity. It had a radical tradition, and was often a centre for sedition and revolt against the occupying Austrian forces. Economically, though, the city languished. Small workshops of little more than local importance developed. Krakow was not to experience any industrialisation of note, as were other cities in 19th century Europe. This lack of development consigned Krakow ever further into the commercial backwaters of Europe. As a result, perhaps, it managed through neglect to retain the almost unique continuity of its urban legacy. The fabric of the city was largely untouched, even surviving the German occupation of 1939. Again, briefly, Krakow became the administrative capital of conquered Poland. The German governor, Frank, established his headquarters in Wawel Castle. thousands of Poles and Jews were not to survive this latest Holocaust. Once again, Krakow, like Poland, had suffered for its strategic position between the rival powers of Western Europe and the East. Krakow's importance as a centre of wealth and political power stretches back to medieval times and beyond. Over the centuries, this was reflected in the fabric of the city. It has one of the greatest legacies of European civilization. In the middle of the 18th century, Birmingham would have been largely insignificant. Not until the Industrial Revolution gained momentum and industrialization gave new outlets for the generation of capital and wealth did we see significant growth of Britain's provincial cities. The 19th century saw enormous development of Britain's industrial cities, and together with this, there was great expansion in Britain's world power. The connections between these two are crucial in the history of one local firm, the Birmingham Small Arms Company.
The most powerful weapon in the armoury of the demolition men strikes at an industrial landmark, a factory which, in the 2 world wars, supplied the needs of the Allied armies, the rifles, the Bren and Sten guns, the motorcycles for the dispatch riders. Today, without sentiment, the demolition men have pronounced this factory of no further use to anyone. To leave it intact costs £1,200 a week in rates, so down it must come. The once proud home of the BSA at Small Heath in Birmingham. Harry Phelps worked here for over half a century. His father earned his living here with pride as well. How does Harry Phelps feel about it today?
Sick right to the bottom of the stomach. I saw the place built in 1914-18 war. I've been connected with BSA since 1919 as a worker. My father worked here from 1896. I've got it watching in my pocket now, which I'd like you gentlemen to see.
Yes.
So I actually worked in there for 51 years. And to see it built up, I never thought I'd live to see the day of its disintegration like it is.
The Birmingham Small Arms Company began production in the middle of the 19th century. Its prosperity depended on the demand for weapons by the armies of the world, and particularly on the progress of Britain's imperial wars. As a result, it faced a series of sharp booms and slumps in production, over which it had no control. The First World War brought the biggest boom of all to the company, as it supplied rifles, artillery, shells and motorcycles to the men in the trenches. Now the boom years are over, and the site is empty again. In the years between, however, the company developed not just as a supplier of arms, but as a widely diversified engineering concern, taking over and selling subsidiaries in an attempt to survive in the market. In its heyday, BSA brought prosperity and employment to Small Heath. Indeed, to a large extent, it created Small Heath. The houses still stand, but only the shell of the factory's old building remains to remind us of the once bustling and imposing Victorian wealth created by industry. It must have been difficult to believe that it could ever be demolished. When BSA was first built, the adjoining canal was part of a major, busy transport network, bringing materials in for production and taking out completed goods. Today it is empty. Along its sides